Afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the Bubba Continuum. I'm having a spectacular day. I just felt like relaxing and you know, I've gone so crazy. I decided to have a beer today. I drink like 3 beers a month, maybe, probably less than that. So this is a wild moment for me. This is a special occasion. I may go crazy and have a second beer. That's how over the top I feel today. It's just been a spectacular day. The summer was very hot here, and there wasn't a whole lot of breeze, and it was very humid, and it rained constantly. It never stopped raining. So I couldn't do a lot of the things I wanted to do as often as I wanted to do them. I love to work with my tools. I love to work with my firearms. Well, if you call that work. Just, you know, the sort of things that men like to do when they're single and there's nobody telling them they can't do things. So the weather cooled off and things are just falling into line, and I'm enjoying myself tremendously. Today I did some more metal working. I continued working on my propane outfit cart. I'm not sure what to call it. When you have an acetylene welding outfit, you call your acetylene cart an acetylene cart. But if you say propane cart, well, what does that mean? It could be a barbecue. It could be one of those propane weed torches that people use in their yards. Who knows? So I'm just going to call it a propane outfit cart. If you call it a propane cutting cart, I don't think people would have any idea what that meant. So I put a video about this up the other day and showed you what I did. I bought a Home Depot hand truck and turned it into a propane cart. And the reason I did this was it's not easy to find propane carts that are pre-made. I only found one, and it was about 190 bucks, and it didn't look too hot. And it's amazing to me that this is the situation because propane is extremely popular. It gets more popular all the time. My understanding is you can't weld with it. But why would you want to weld with gas anyway? I mean, I know there's some reasons to weld with gas, but I don't have any. I would like to try it sometime just so I could say I did it. But let's be honest, I've got TIG, I've got stick, I've got MIG. It's not the end of the world if I don't get to weld with gas right away. So I put this cart together. I bent some brackets on my Swag off-road finger brake. A finger brake is a thing that bends metal. I bent some brackets on that, and I cut some little pieces of chain and welded like a half link of chain on either side of each bracket, and that gave me little eyelets to connect other chains to. So then I had brackets that would hold my tanks onto the cart, and I welded the brackets onto the cart, and I painted the cart with truck bed paint, which is this indestructible, crazy paint they sell. And I was very happy with myself. But the one thing I hated about the cart was the air-filled tires, the pneumatic tires. And pneumatic tires are just horrible because they go flat once a month. They're all made in China, and they all go flat once a month. And I don't know why this is. You know, it works that way with bicycle tires now too. You know, I think it's probably been 6 months since I put air in my truck tires. And if I went out there and checked now, I guarantee they'd be within like 1 or 2 PSI of whatever it was when I filled them. But, and when I was a kid, when I had a bicycle, I could put air in the tires and not worry about it for months. It didn't matter. But now, if you put air in a tire, it goes out in a month, a small tire. Like a hand truck or a bicycle. It just disappears for no apparent reason. And nobody can explain this. I don't get it at all. I've got motorcycle tires, and they don't do this, and they're only a little bit bigger than bicycle tires. So what's the deal with this? Anyway, I knew that if I kept the air-filled tires on this cart, that sooner or later I would want to pull my hair out, because every time I wanted to use the propane, I would have to pump up the cart, the tires. And that would mean turning on my compressor, waiting 5 minutes for it to fill, you know, yanking the hose out off the reel, pumping it up. By then, the whole spontaneity thing is gone. You know, working with tools, you got to have that spontaneity thing. So I was not happy. And what I found out was you go to Harbor Freight and you can buy 10-inch solid tires, I guess you would just call them tires, solid wheels, for $9 each. And that's before the coupon. Of course, the coupon only applies to one tire, so it's not that great a deal unless you want to like walk around the block and go back in with another coupon. Anyway, $9 each. And the new tires that I put on it from Harbor Freight, they only support 220 pounds each. I mean, my hand truck is made for 600 pounds. So you know, there goes 180 pounds of potential weight that I could have lifted with this, and I feel pretty bad about that. So I guess I'll just have to manage to keep my tanks under 440 pounds. I think I can do that. So I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to put up some pictures. The tires, the wheels that I put on today, the one problem that I had with them is that they were too thin. They were not offset from the center of the cart. I mean, there was no cart. I bought them off a shelf, but you know, whatever cart they were intended to go on, they were not offset as much as the original wheels. So that was a problem because they were almost rubbing the cart when I put them on as they were. They were so close in, they almost rubbed the cart. And I said, well, that won't do. So what I did was I got my lathe, and I had a piece of metal. You always have a piece of metal lying around. When you're a metal worker, you've always got metal lying around. And it's really surprising sometimes the junk that you have just ready to go. So I had some kind of steel that someone gave me a long time ago. I think it said 6510 on it. I don't know what that is. I had a little, I guess something like 7/8 inch rod. So I took that, stuck it on the lathe, and you'll see pictures, and I bored it out to slightly over 5/8 of an inch, and 5/8 of an inch is the diameter of the axle on the cart. And I cut it to the length of about 5/8 of an inch, which happened to be the length that I needed to make these things fit. And, you know, beveled it off and made it look nice with emery cloth and all that. And I slapped it on my cart, and you'll see all this in the pictures. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. Now it works. So now I've got a cart that will hold all my junk and will never go flat. Now the one thing I'm thinking of doing, I'm thinking of putting some kind of metal fork on the cart, another excuse to weld, some kind of forky thing that will hold up the torch. I'm not sure if I want to do that though. I'm not sure it's necessary. It kind of looks like you can wrap your hoses around your oxygen tank and get it to stay on the cart that way, and it won't cause any trouble. So I'm not sure. It also looks like if you try to make a fork for it, because of the shape of the torch, it's just not that easy to come up with something that's really cute, that's really elegant. So I may not do that. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm ecstatic with this thing. I can wheel it around, I can move it in and out, and it's not in the way anymore. So now all I got to do is make a cart for my propane weed torch. And I'm thinking about doing a project with my weed torch. If you don't know what this is, you can look them up on the internet. It's a long tube, and at the far end of the tube, one end of the tube has a handle with a trigger to control the gas, and at the other end it has this square can of a thing that a propane flame shoots out. And it's this gigantic, invisible, wretchedly hot propane flame. You got to watch it with this thing. I learned this by melting a sprinkler at my house. You know, it's so the flame is so big and so hard to see and so strong, you don't really know what you're cooking until you're done. But I was watching this thing, and I was thinking, maybe this thing is the answer to my steak problems. Right now I'm trying to make a 16-inch square griddle out of 1/4-inch steel that I can fry steaks on. And fried steaks are absolutely phenomenal. Anyone who criticizes you for frying a steak is an idiot, doesn't know anything. Fried steaks are the way to go. Anyway, I'm thinking that what I'd like to do, well, I'll just tell you right away. If you go to a high-end restaurant like Ruth's or something, and you order a steak, what they're going to do is they're going to put it under a heat element. And it's called a Salamander, and it's electric. I guess, I don't know if it's always electric, but sometimes it's electric. And it's this thing that sucks a lot of juice and puts out a tremendous amount of heat, and it projects heat downward onto the meat. And that's why you get that nice black outside on the steak. And I guess the reason they put it over the steak is if you put it under it, fat would drip onto it, then you'd have a problem. So I'm thinking to myself, what if I take this Salamander, this weed torch, and I take the tube off of it and I bend the tube. So instead of being a straight tube that's 3 feet long, I've got a tube that goes like this, and I make some kind of bracket and I weld it onto my propane fryer base or something else that's similar to it. And I have, so then I have a tube that goes up and comes down, and it points the flame down at the propane fryer base. I don't need the propane part of the base. I just need something made out of steel that will hold my food off the ground while I roast it, and a propane base happens to be the ideal thing for that because it's a metal platform like a foot high or 15 inches high or something like that. So anyway, I'd have some kind of a pan under it, like maybe my 15-inch griddle, to keep the propane to keep the fat from going out on my bricks, and to keep the flame from going out over the side of the griddle and damaging things. So I'd have, the flame would be pointing down like this, and the meat would be down here, and it would put a perfect, beautiful black crust on it, and it would be magnificent. And after that, there would be no reason left for me to live, because every great challenge that I have wanted to conquer in my life would have been conquered. So I'm really thinking about that. I just have to figure out how to bend that tube. I have little things to bend copper tubes, but copper tubes are a lot easier to bend than steel. I'm kind of wondering if I could bend a copper tube and use it for propane. I guess you could do that. I don't see why not. I'll look into it. Anyway, that's the next thing I have on my mind for welding and metalworking and all that. In other news, I'm gonna have some beer. Excuse me slurping. Oh, that's a Melrose Glass from, it's either Pottery Barn or that other place that isn't Pottery Barn. Crate and Barrel. These are really good glasses. They're not too expensive. Made in, I don't know, Czechoslovakia or someplace. If you have people that break your beer glasses a lot, this is a good choice, because they're excellent beer glasses and they don't cost all that much. So, oh, by the way, I don't know if I said so, but I'm drinking Sierra Nevada Torpedo, which is a wonderful beer. The beer that I love better than any beer is the beer that I make myself. My recipes are just mind-blowing, totally mind-blowing, but I don't make beer anymore. I became all religious, so I barely ever drink. And it seems like it's not worth it to have a freezer and all the stuff around. So I go to the store and I buy beer that's relatively pathetic, and this is one of the least pathetic beers. So anyway, I put up this video, and somebody came to my video and started telling me I was a big liar and a grifter because I was saying that God was real and so forth. And I'm still having this discussion in the comments and I'm not getting mad at this guy. He doesn't believe in God. That's all right. I mean, it's not all right, but it's up to him. I don't think you should get mad at people for not believing in God. I tend to get kind of mad at Christians who give me a hard time because they ought to know better. Anyway, this guy is saying, he called me a grifter because I was saying that God was real and this and that. And I had to respond to him. I said, a grifter is a person who profits from misleading people. And I've known some Christian grifters, but there's plenty of them out there. If this guy's saying there's a lot of grifters in the church, I will testify it's true. I think Rich Wilkerson, the guy that was the pastor of a church I went to years ago in Miami, I think he was a grifter. I think his whole family, they're grifters. They teach stuff that they know is not true. They teach the prosperity gospel, and they've been told that it doesn't work, and they know that it doesn't work. And they use it to get poor people to give them money. I'll give you an example of a Wilkerson move. This guy, the church got together and they bought him a boat, some kind of little motorboat. And as far as I know, he didn't turn it down. I don't know, maybe he did, but apparently he didn't turn it down when they presented it to him. Maybe later he said something to him, but I haven't heard anything to that effect. Well, they didn't know that behind his house, he had about a 35-foot yacht, not anchored, but moored. I didn't know this because once my dad had a 46-foot sport fisherman, a beautiful boat, and we used to take it out all the time. And I took this pastor and his family out on that boat once, not knowing that he had a beautiful boat behind his house, and he could have done this himself. So I don't know if he just wanted us to pay for the diesel, if he was just lazy or what. So anyway, the church didn't know that he had a yacht. He lives or lived, I don't know where he lives now, but I assume he lives in the same place. He lived in a place called Golden Beach, which is the most exclusive neighborhood in Miami Beach, really. For many, maybe it still is, but it was for many years the most exclusive neighborhood in the Miami area. Mo Gibb lived there. Maurice Gibb called himself Mo. One of the Bee Gees, back when the Bee Gees were hot, that's where he lived. So if you were a celebrity, it used to be that was where the celebrities lived. He apparently let the church give him this little bitty boat, and he had this yacht behind his house, and it's just, when I heard it, I was like, it's typical. This is the same guy who took an offering at a funeral. So yeah, there's plenty of grifters in the church. They're all over Christian television. Benny Hinn's a grifter, Rod Parsley's a grifter, Oral Roberts turned into a grifter. I don't think he was to begin with. His son is a grifter, in my opinion. Kenneth Copeland is the king of the grifters. I think Joyce Meyer is a grifter. I think T.D. Jakes probably is. Joel Osteen, no doubt about it. Grifter. Yes, grifters. But I am not a grifter. I don't profit from this stuff. I don't get a dime from YouTube. I don't have a Patreon page. There's no way. You would have to hire a private investigator if you wanted to give me money. You would have to find a way to give me money because I don't ask for it, and I have not provided any mechanism for you to do that. So anyway, I'm not profiting from this. When I established this channel for fun, because I enjoy tools, and I thought it'd be nice maybe to be part of the YouTube tool community. And it looks like that's not going to happen. I ended up talking about God anyway. I had another channel where I talked about God, and I thought, well, I'll put up a tool channel. I put up my tool channel and ended up talking about God. But I'm not profiting from it, and it was just something I put up for fun. So I'm not a grifter. I'm really not. I pointed some things out to him. He was saying, there's no evidence for God and all this. And I said, well, testimony is evidence. I said, I'm a lawyer, and I can just tell you, testimony is evidence. Lay people who are not lawyers don't understand what evidence means. They think evidence means rock solid proof. Like if you don't have video, you don't have evidence. If you don't have DNA, you don't have evidence. And that's not true. Testimony is evidence. Eyewitness testimony is evidence. And I'm an eyewitness. Jesus visited me twice. I've seen several spirits. I've had demons cast out of me. I've had a bunch of miraculous healings, instantaneous or healings that happen within a period of a few minutes. And there's a lot of people out there like me, and you can look them up. If you really care, if you really are interested in the truth, and your life isn't just about bashing Christians, which is really the case almost always. These people who bash us rarely have any interest in the truth. They just want to give us a hard time because maybe they're lapsed Catholics and they're still angry at the nuns for hitting them with a ruler, or who knows what their problem is. The church let them down. Maybe they were like me and they ended up in the clutches of true grifters and paid the price for it, and they still haven't let that go. You shouldn't let things like that grip your heart and turn into the main focus of your life. You have to remember something. People are always going to be crooked, and they're always going to be unsatisfying and inadequate. That's just the truth. You're never going to find Christians who are like Jesus. You're going to find Christians who are kind of like Jesus. That's the best you can do. And the fact that human beings have disappointed you shouldn't turn you away from God. If you want to know about God, stop bothering me. Stop saying, you're a grifter, you're a bad person, you believe in the pre-tribulation rapture, you're going to hell because Satan has twisted your mind. Now look at you, you're drinking a beer, the devil's, urine. Stop talking to me and go to God with an honest, open heart and say, are you there? Are you there? Because I don't want to go to hell if you're there. If there's something better than this, I'd like to know. This guy on YouTube, I think he's a moron, but I would like to know you. Just take it up with him because he answers people. He comes to people and he shows himself to them. Yeah, maybe you think I'm a total idiot. That's all right. I don't care. A lot of people think I'm an idiot. Don't let that come between you and God. So I'm not mad at this guy who's calling me a grifter. I'm a little annoyed with the people who are the Christians who are coming and giving me a hard time, but I forgive them, and I pray for love to flow through me and all that. I pray not to be self-righteous, no matter how unbelievably annoying people can be. So I don't know. I guess that's my Thursday. I just had a wonderful, magnificent day. I hate to say that I'm enjoying coronavirus, the whole panic, the whole pandemic thing. Other people are losing their minds. And, I guess I should say a couple of words about that. I've just had such a great time. And this year, basically, one bad thing has happened to me, and that was this young man that I thought would be my compensation for not having a son died. This young black man was killed by another black man accidentally, got a gunshot wound, and they said it's not life-threatening, and then a month later he was gone. And that was terrible. During the month that he was in the process of dying, things weren't that bad because I had heard good news and I thought things were all right. And then toward the end, I started hearing bad news, and then I had a rough month or so because of the grief. But other than that, it's been a fantastic year. It's been just wonderful, and it's interesting because there are people on the left. Let's be honest. Let's take the gloves off. People who are on the political left are the children of the Antichrist. The political left is one of Satan's big tools, and people who aren't in touch with the Holy Spirit don't realize that, and they think if you're a Christian, you have to be a socialist and a lot of this craziness. But think about it. When witches get together to curse the president, well, to curse politicians, who do they curse? Republicans. Do they ever get together to curse Nancy Pelosi? No. Does that tell you anything? Most violent criminals are on the left politically. Very few are conservative. I don't know. It just ought to be obvious to people that the people on the left are messed up. That they're having problems, and they are really losing it right now over Trump and over the death of Ginsburg. Ginsburg stuck it to the left. Everybody's talking about what a saint she was and how they wish they could touch the hem of her garment because she was so perfect and wonderful. But the truth is, Ginsburg knew she was dying under Obama, and she chose not to retire. And she knew that she might have to. She knew she might die under a Republican, or she might have to retire under a Republican. And she stayed on for pure selfishness. So she spent her life building this legacy, working for the left. Yes, she worked for the left, no doubt about it. And then she rolled the dice because she just didn't want to quit. And now the left is angry at who? Ruth Ginsburg? Not so much. Some of them are, but most of them are mad at Trump and Christians and conservatives and anyone who is white and anyone who doesn't owe money on their house. They're really flipping out, and it's terrible to look at them. They're putting up TikTok videos. I don't have TikTok, but you can see them on YouTube because people think it's funny to put their misery videos on YouTube. They make compilations of miserable leftists screaming and yelling about Trump and Ginsburg and so on, and they put them on YouTube. And these people are literally screaming and bashing their heads around like I don't want to pick on autistic people, but it's like a severely autistic kid having a tantrum. If you've ever seen that, it's like they've completely gone insane. And they say things. They curse this year. They curse 2020 as though it were a person, and they talk about how they wish it was over and what else is it going to do to us. And I'm sitting here thinking, this has been such a great year for me. Apart from one terrible thing, this year has been magnificent. I mean, things have gone so well. It's been so peaceful. I'm getting things done that I never thought I would get done before. That I thought it would take me forever to get done. I'm doing things I've dreamed about doing. My prayer life is better than ever, and I keep feeling like God is telling me over and over very powerfully that the rapture is coming this year, and that gives me hope. Things are falling together. They're really coming together. My health is good. I love the place where I live. I have good food. I don't know what else I can say. And my universe, my reality is totally different from these people on the left that are going insane because they've chosen the wrong path. They made the wrong choice. God really will give you peace. He'll look after you. He'll lift you above this mess. It's like we're in the flood and you can be in the ark. But you got to give up your pride. You got to give up your leftism and the idea that the government is your savior and that Joe Stalin and Karl Marx are your saviors. Jesus Christ is real. The Holy Spirit is real. The Bible is true. God is right. Get in agreement with him. He's the most powerful force there is, and you can't succeed when you're against him. Of course your life is not going well. He loves you. He doesn't care what you've done. He doesn't care if you've gone to riots and thrown urine at cops. He doesn't care. He'll forgive you. He'll forgive you. It doesn't matter. You're welcome. Come in, join us. Be part of the family. Get ready with us. Get ready for the return. Ask yourself why we're so happy and you're so miserable. Do you really think that's normal? If you're doing everything right, why are you so unhappy? Why are you beating your head against your steering wheel on TikTok? Well, I guess I've said all I really need to say. It's been a fantastic day. Hope you enjoyed hearing about my cart, and I look forward to posting more stuff about tools, more stuff about God in the future. And if you're angry at me, well, I'm sorry, but don't project that onto God. It's not his fault. My faults are not his fault. So have a wonderful evening. I know I will, God willing.